Hello and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I thought we could test the difference between a cheap watercolour and an expensive watercolour. So if you are new here, I did a little video on this for oil paints, I believe it was. We did a test between the Winsor and Newton oil Winton colours and then a cheaper brand of oil paints. Now I have a lot of comments on that video saying that the Winsor and Newton Winton are not an expensive brand, and I never said they were, and likewise with this, I'm not saying that this more expensive brand is the best brand out there. There are plenty and plenty of better watercolour brands or higher esteem watercolour brands out there. I am merely testing a more expensive version that I have and a cheaper version that I have. So just to clarify that before anyone leaves that comment on this video. So I have a very large selection of Cotman watercolours. This whole thing is full of them. I have Cotman watercolour pans as well. I love them. They've always been a firm favourite of mine. They are a student grade watercolour by Winsor and Newton, and I just think they're a very high level student grade. There's definitely cheaper watercolours out there, but I just think these are a very nice brand. So I thought, why not compare them with Winsor & Newton's more professional watercolours, which surprisingly are called professional watercolours. They don't have a name. They're just Winsor & Newton professional watercolours. So these are not cheap, I will say. Now I've had these for a while. We're currently in August, and for my birthday in February, I took myself to Fred Aldous, a lovely art shop here in Leeds. There's one in Manchester and Sheffield, I believe. Really gorgeous shop. And I took myself in there and I treated myself to a selection of 5 professional watercolours for the purpose of this video, and then obviously for future artworks I will be using these as well. So I picked up kind of your primary colours. They're not CMYK, I'm afraid, they are just regular RGB. We picked up Winsor Deep Red, which is this lovely deep colour. We picked up Yellow Ochre Light, which is a nice mid-range yellow. And then we picked up Winsor Blue Green Shade. I actually didn't spot that it said green shade on it when I purchased it. And then, because I like to do nature-inspired things, I picked up Van Dyke Brown, which is a Bob Ross favourite. And then, as a bit of a wild card, because it looked like a very nice colour, I picked up the Terra Verte Yellow Shade, which is this really pale yellowy green hue, which I thought was quite an interesting colour. Now, I went into the shop, and like I say, these are very expensive watercolours. I definitely went with their Series 1 because they were the cheapest out of their professionals. If you don't know, when you buy watercolours, they go up in series. So Series 1 is usually the cheaper version of that watercolour brand. And then as you go up in series, the more expensive they are, because they are, I believe they're formulated differently. They're just a more expensive shade, let's say. So I wasn't keeping in mind that I needed to match the colours in my cheaper sets, so I'm going to have to try and match them as best I can out of here. I do have Van Dyke Brown, I know that for a fact. I do have a cadmium red. I'm not sure I have a Winsor red, so we'll have to just do some tests before we get into the artwork to find the red that's going to match it the closest. I think I'm going to have to maybe use a cobalt blue instead of the Winsor blue, and then the yellow ochre light. I think I only have lemon yellow or gamboge hue, so we'll have to just see. And then that weird colour, we might just have to choose an out there colour that I have in those. But I'm excited. I think this is going to be a nice little video. I just wanted to test them out. I wanted to see, like, is there a reason these are so expensive? Are they better for an average artist? Like, I'm not producing incredible, massive watercolour pieces that are being auctioned off for thousands of pounds. I do this to produce some artwork, and then I scan that in and I print it on other things. So the watercolours I use, I love. I think they're brilliant. They work really well. So I'm really curious to see whether these are drastically different or not. So please let me know your views below before you've seen the outcome for now, and then you can comment again maybe if you want to once we've finished and see what your thoughts are. But I'm excited to try them. We're going to do some swatches. We're going to, like I say, I'm going to try and find as close colours as possible. We're going to do some tests of them, and then we're going to produce 2 pieces of artwork like we did for the oil colours one, to test what they look like side by side and how the colours differ, how they work differently, and whether they're just better. We shall see. But welcome to this video. I hope you're going to stick around, and let's get to testing these watercolours out. Alright, so to find these colours, we've got Van Dyke Brown here, so we'll pop that there. Then in terms of red, we have Cadmium Red Deep Hue, Cadmium Red Hue, we have Permanent Rose, we have Alizarin Crimson, another Cadmium Red Pale Hue, so we have 3 different cadmium colours. I think below that might be some odd bits of watercolours from De La Roni and Van Gogh. So we need to test out which one of these is going to be the closest, because this Winsor Red, from the colour on the actual tube, kind of looks a little bit pinkier than the cadmium colours, so we might be leaning into the alizarin or the permanent rose, I'm not sure. Then for the yellow ochre light, oh, this is going to be difficult. We have gamboge, we've got cadmium yellow, lemon yellow. I think that's it for the yellows, not too much choice there. So we might be struggling here to find the matching colours. Then for the Winsor Blue, we have cobalt. This is hard. Indigo's far too dark, I already know that. Is that a Cotman? Ultramarine. Again, might be finding it hard to find that colour match. Okay. So we've got the Van Dyke Brown, and then this Terra Verte, I think we may have to just see what that colour looks like, but we may have to match it with a green and white, maybe? I don't know. Let's put the greens there and let's see. I didn't buy a white or a black, so which is fine because we can work with that, but that's obviously a factor as well. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to have to go with. Let's do some swatching. Let's see what the colours look like, because these might not look anything like the tubes, and these may also not look like the tubes either. Let's try and match these colours up as close as possible and see what we're working with. Alright, let's start off with the Winsor Deep Red. So I have a little glass from a picture frame just as my palette, but I think I'm going to work straight onto here with just adding a little dab of that colour, and then a little dab that we can add a little bit of water to as well, so we can get kind of an accurate, let me get a paintbrush, we can get an accurate representation. Well, that's a lovely colour, look at that. So these are professional. So this is the Winsor Red Deep. Yeah, like I say, it's not an orangey red, this. So I think our Cotmans might be ruled out. Our cadmium reds might be ruled out. But I may try the cadmium red hue. Okay. So then next is the yellow ochre light. Oh, sorry, you couldn't see that. Yellow ochre light. Oh, it's oily. I hate when that happens. It's really annoying. Okay. What I have already noticed is that these stretch quite far. That tiny little dot goes very far, which is good. Okay. Less opaque. Opaque, but a lovely colour. Definitely ochreish. I don't know why I don't have a yellow ochre. It's staple when I buy paints, a yellow ochre, so I'm not really sure why I don't have it in the Cotman watercolours. Then this is the Winsor blue green shade, so I definitely think the indigo is going to be out. Wow, wow, look at that colour. That is so beautiful. Okay, I am already noticing that the absolute coverage and the pigmentation of these colours is sublime. Absolutely sublime. Okay, so this is, oh, this is already squeezing out. Fantastic. This is the Van Dyke brown. Another beautiful colour. See, that's the only one we've got the pure colour match on, so I feel like that's the only one we can... Wow, that was the animals having a little tiff there. I feel like that's the only one we can have a true match representation on. Okay, and then let's do our wild card of this Terra Verte. Oh, yeah, way more green than I was expecting. Okay, we're not going to be able to colour match it, but I definitely think we're going to have a green that's, I mean, green enough. Wow. What an interesting colour. Right, I'm just going to bring it over the top a little bit more so you have a bit more of a closer view. So this colour here, I don't know if it needs mixing in the tube a little bit, but it is so transparent. It's kind of like I've mixed up some sort of pond water. So we'll have to see. So I'm thinking for this, it's very much a Glycerin Crimson to me, but we're going to try the dark red hue. I just think it's too orange. The cadmium is too orange. Let's try the Glycerin Crimson. I think that's going to be the closest. Let's do that. Let's do a Glycerin. It's a bit more pinky than I would like, but I don't really know what other colour I can pair this to. I do wish I had a look at my colours and tried to match, but like I said, they're so expensive, it's really difficult. Really difficult. I wonder if mixing it with a little smidge of this cadmium deep might do it. Bring back that pinkiness and put in a little... Okay, yeah, that's not too bad. It's not very opaque though, not as opaque as the Winsor Red. That's a beautiful colour. Okay, I think our closest bet to a light, what's it called, ochre is going to be the gamboge. It's just it's the closest option I can think of. It's more ochre-y, and it's all I can think of, basically. Let's have a look. Okay, yeah, I think that's the closest match. Nice. I am finding these are less pigmented, these Cotman, way less pigmented. Interesting, very, very interesting. So for this, I think we're going to have to go ultramarine. The indigo is going to be too dark, the cobalt too light. We're going to just have to see for this one. I'm just putting to one side the ones I'm deciding to use. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay. And then the Van Dyke brown. So this is the most accurate colour combination we have. So let's just see. I'm trying to give these the best shot as possible with adding the same amount of colouring on there, the same amount of water. Okay, it's definitely... I may have to save that review till we do kind of like a wet in wet technique, a dry technique, and kind of see how they react with that. But that's a nice colour, a very nice colour. And then I think I'm just going to go, I think sap green's going to be the closest to that. Definitely, it's much more of a natural green. It's going to be nowhere near, but it's definitely the closest, I would say, out of all the greens I have. But yeah, we're just going to have to go wild card like that. But that's nice. It's interesting. It's really hard. I definitely feel like these are more pigmented. Are they granulating more or less? I think they're granulating less. They've kind of got much more of an opaque look to them than these. Let's continue some tests down here and see what we've got going. Let's put all these ones away and see what else we can kind of come up with test-wise to see how they react one-on-one with one another. Okay, so I've gone ahead and just squirted out a little bit of each paint. So these are the Cotman on the left here, and these are the Professional on the right. I think in terms of creaminess on the palette, I can't really see much of a difference. They both look very creamy, they both look very pigmented. It's not really an easy comparison on the palette. So let's do some wet in wet technique. So let's start with Professional. I'm going to add a little bit of water just underneath each colour, like this. And then I'm merely going to pick up a little bit of each colour with a bit of water and just drop it in, see how it flows, add a little bit more water in there, just see how the pigment goes, how it granulates, everything like that. I'm just going to do that for each of the colours. Okay, so whilst they're drying, we will do a little bit of mixing of colours, I think the next option is. So let's try and see what green we can make from the Professional watercolours, let's see. So let's take it on the palette. Okay, it's going to be, I'm going to have to add a bit more of the yellow. It's going to be quite a strange green because when I picked this up, obviously the colour shown on here is it just looks like an average yellow. I didn't actually realise it was an ochre, which is a much more natural yellow, but it's making quite a nice green. Oh, look at that, that's sappy. That is a sap green and a half, that. It's almost matching the sap green we have in the Cotman watercolours. Okay, interesting. Let's have a look at a purple. Let's grab a little bit of that blue, a little bit of the red. Okay, that red's very pigmented. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, it's quite a bluey purple. Let's add a bit more red. Wow, look at the range of colours we're getting here. Let me bring you in a bit closer. There we go, you can see a little bit better there. Look at that colour, that's a gorgeous colour. Okay, what else can we make? An orange. Let's try an orange. I just need a bit more of that yellow. The yellow's not the most pigmented compared to the other colours, which is interesting. Very interesting. Let's see what type of orange we can get. Yeah, I'm definitely having to use a lot more yellow to any other colour when I'm mixing. Something to bear in mind. See, that was a fresh batch of yellow and it's still very red. Let's add a touch more and see how orange we can get. But these colours are gorgeous, really, really nice colours. And they're laying down so pigmented. I'm very surprised. I'm very, very surprised. Okay, let's have a look. That's nice. That's really nice. This range of colours here is a beautiful. Yeah, the colours are lovely. Very nice. Okay, let's do the same. Let's do the same with the Cotman and see what we can make with those. So let's do a more heavily yellowy orange. One moment. So again, the gamboge and the yellow ochre are very much very natural. Let's say very natural colours. Okay, so look. That's a very nice orangey colour there. So let's try a more red version. Oh, a bit more red in there, I think. There we go. Very nice. The reds, not overly pigmented. Okay, then let's try the purple. Let me just get some more red out. Let's have a look. Where are we going? I mean, the colours I've chosen are beautiful for the professional watercolours. I'm trying not to let that sway my choice purely because I like the colours. Do you know what I mean? Because that's not what we're testing. We're testing the quality. We're testing whether they make a difference, whether I prefer them. Do you know what I mean? Trying not to let the colours sway me too much. Very nice, very, very nice. Okay, so I obviously have the sap green, but we're going to test out making a green with the blue and the yellow, see what type of green we get. Oh, very nice kind of lemony green. It's very nice. Okay, let's let those dry and we'll come back and evaluate what I can see from first impressions. Then we'll move on to actually painting and see how we get on with that. Alright, so I'm going to go with the handheld cam, so I hope it's not too shaky, but we're going to have a look a little bit closer. So this is the Cotman watercolours here. As you can see, I kind of feel like the pigmentation is not very even. It's kind of a little bit blotchy maybe. I don't know if that's the way I've laid it down. But particularly, you can't really see on camera actually, but particularly with the Van Dyke Brown. Let's have a look over at the professional watercolours here. Look how even that Van Dyke Brown is and how even all the colours are and way more pigmented, just seem a little bit more opaque. I don't know whether that's just, again, like my application. But as we move down to the wet on wet technique, they're still a little bit wet, but I don't see much of a difference other than the pigmentation. Look how bright and vibrant those colours are, and then look over here. Again, you get that kind of mottling of the colours a little bit here and here. Not sure again if that's my application. If you have, this is all new to me. I'm testing this out too. I love watercolours. I use them all the time. But I don't know tons. So if you have any more information, please let me know. So then down to the colour mixing. They're beautiful colours, very beautiful colours, and likewise with the professional, very beautiful. But look how crisp, how even the colours are, how opaque the colours are. Look at the difference. I don't know, I see a difference there. Do you see a difference? Let me go above. Let me know your thoughts. I don't know. I think the real test is going to be painting something, and we'll have to just see how they look. So let's get on with painting something. I'm going to find a reference that complements all these colours, and we're going to go for it and see what we can come up with. so the final reveal, you have to just imagine that I painted these the same. I went a little heavy-handed on the professional painting, and I'm a bit annoyed because I didn't leave as much negative space, so I did have to whip out a white paint just to bring up the lights a little bit more, because otherwise it was just a dark mass. I couldn't add anything else to it to make it look better. So just ignore the fact that I terribly painted the professional version. I wish I'd started with that first, but as you can see, there is quite a lot of difference. Whilst I was painting, I can't say I noticed much difference in the actual paints, other than the fact that the professional paints were much more pigmented. When you mix the colours, you only needed a drop of each colour, otherwise you'd overpower each other, whereas with the Cotman you needed a lot more of one colour to overpower another, and that can also be the mixes and the pigments within each individual colour as well. Again, like I say, I'm not comparing the most accurate colour to colour comparison between the two ranges, so there is that to factor in. It's not the most accurate test in terms of the colour matching, but I don't know, it's really difficult because of that colour matching option. I can't say whether one's more vibrant than the other, because I did a little bit of research online, and the consensus is, because they're both Winsor & Newton brand, they use generically the same pigments. However, the Cotman will probably just have less of that pigment in than the professional watercolours, which is pretty understandable. That's why they're more expensive. You're paying for that additional pigment. So I think if I was doing a like for like test with the actual colours, that would probably show things a little bit differently. But I think for what we've done, it's good. I found that this wildcard colour plus the mixture between the Winsor blue and the Winsor red, not the Winsor red, the yellow ochre, made a lovely green, but when I added them in, it granulated a hell of a lot more than the Cotman, which I don't like. Look at that, it looks patchy. I just didn't like it. It didn't apply as nicely as the Cotman. I don't know whether that's user error. I'm not sure. I felt like I did the same thing on both of these. I don't know. I really don't know. But I think, again, I'm finding it very hard to not judge it on the fact that the colours are different. My painting has obviously been, I've done it better on this side, personally. I don't know. It's hard. So I tried to find a reference image that would kind of highlight the colours, but don't forget, these are all the mixed colours. None of these are the pure forms of their colours, and which I kind of liked. I like the fact that I would be making the new colours so that I could determine whether that colour was a similar mix to each other. In terms of getting like a very dark black-esque colour of the butterfly, I mixed the Van Dyke brown with the blue. Now on this side, the blue just did not overpower the Van Dyke brown. I couldn't get that blue in there. Oh, this is this side. No, I could get the blue in there for the professional, and it actually, do you know how this said a Winsor blue green shade, and I was a bit like, it just looks blue, it doesn't have much green in it. When I mixed it with the Van Dyke brown, you would be surprised when you watered it down enough, the green hue underneath there, the pigment of the green was very much there, but it created a very nice dark black colour. Now when I tried to do the same with the Cotman, I couldn't get anything darker than dark brown. I couldn't get that to make a dark colour like this without going completely blue. I couldn't do it. So that just tells me that the pigment in this ultramarine obviously is very different to the Winsor blue, but it could not overpower that Van Dyke brown. I mean, I got a dark enough colour, I'm quite happy with it. And because the butterflies are more orange, it kind of lends itself quite nicely. This is actually looks a bit too dark now. I generally think I just painted this better, which is hard. It's a hard comparison. When you're painting two things one after the trot, I definitely feel less motivated to do it because I've already painted it once. So again, a lot of this comparison is user error. But if we were to look at the paints individually, I don't see much difference. If I'm going to buy these paints, I think I would go with the cheaper option. Again, you obviously have to think about the fact that these are going to be less light fast, they're going to be less archival than the professional watercolours. That's a given. So if you are painting, say, big watercolour pieces that you want to sell for lots and lots of money, or you want people to collect as a gallery piece, then yes, probably go for the watercolours that are professional. However, if you are painting like I do to kind of, you can sell the originals, but obviously for less, and you want to scan that artwork in and put it onto products, the Cotman watercolours work just as well. I'm very happy with them, and I have been happy with them for a very long time. I really like the way they work, I like the look of them, I like the way they lay down. I do think they feel less creamy than the professionals. I don't know whether that's the mix, the binder mix for the pigment. I don't know whether it's a bit more high quality, hence why it's in the professional, but it did feel less creamy for the Cotman. But it didn't really matter. You're adding water to it, you're changing the consistency anyway. It's not like acrylic where you'd use it straight out the tube. But I don't see much difference personally. Please let me know in the comments below if you've done a comparison between these two, or you prefer one over the other. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know, you know, what you think. This is just me playing around with them, telling you how I feel about them and how I kind of, which one I prefer. I'm not the gospel of which paint you should use, so don't follow me for that. But I hope you've enjoyed seeing me paint with both of them, seeing the outcome and hearing my thoughts. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that thumbs up and drop me a comment down below, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.